Okay. I believe the recording is in progress. Okay, so today what we are going to be doing is presenting the WQED Smart Parent Teachable Moments. And this is our second of 10 videos. We already had 5 videos that were teachable moments. And if you haven't already taken a look at those, I suggest that you use the link that we're going to be sharing and just catch back up on those 5. These teachable moments were sort of created by the WQED Education Department back at the beginning of COVID, when everybody was locked in and everybody was trying to find ways to keep busy and keep learning, even though we were sort of all locked down. And the first 5 videos were kind of all created by people while they were in their own homes. But what's happened is that these videos have kind of evolved over time. And as we've kind of gotten back out and about, the next 5 videos are sort of a combination of some that were created back when we were still under lockdown and some that have been created to sort of explore and keep learning as we go back out into the world and get back out around with people. So we're going to be looking at these next 5 videos, and they're sort of a combination of both, some of which were recorded when people were still inside, locked down, and some of which are new while we're out and about. Now, I'm Denise Pajikanix, and I'm part of the education team, but I'm also a librarian in Bethel Park. And Miss Elaine is here as well, and she's a Bethel Park public librarian. And so we're going to be talking about these 5 videos. So if you have any questions or you want to stop and talk about them, we'll stop and talk anytime you want to, okay? So Mrs. Cook is going to show us the next screen, and it's kind of just going to give you a, we're going to watch some videos, then we're going to stop and talk. We're going to watch some more videos. We'll stop and talk, and then we'll talk a little bit about that space activity toolkit that you guys have at home as well. All right, so Miss Elaine is going to start here with the first teachable moment with Mr. Shaw and his son Cooper at home.
Hi, my name is Mike Shaw. I'm an elementary physical education teacher in the Bethel Park School District. This is my son Cooper, and this is our teachable moment. Nowadays, with everybody staying inside, we wanted to show you some fun things that we can do around the house. First thing is grab a pair of socks, and all we're going to do is start tossing and catching our socks. Maybe we got it in a clap. Good for our hand-eye coordination. You're gonna have a little egg toss. Ready, Coop? On your hand, every time you catch it, you step back. Woohoo! Another thing we could do is go bowling. All you need is some water bottles or some cans, and you watch Cooper here. Right. We could also take those fun water bottles and a few brooms, and we could work on some hockey skills. So you can see Cooper right here on the left. Oh, Cooper with the goal.
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Grable Foundation.
Hi, I'm Nora Peters. I'm the director of the Millville Community Library, and this is my Teachable Moment. Spring is here, and today we're going to be celebrating by making seed catalog collages. You can request these catalogs for free from seed companies, but you might already have a couple lying around your house. What we're going to do first is take some time to flip through the pages, look at the different shapes, sizes, and colors of the plants and vegetables. When you find something that you like, carefully rip out the page and take a pair of scissors and cut out what you're interested in. This is a great place to work on our scissor skills. You might even find something surprising, like this yellow cauliflower. Once you have a nice collection, you can start your collage. We can sort our pieces by shape, size, color, type, or maybe even make a silly face. That's my favorite thing to do. You can make collages like this out of anything: old newspapers, recycled magazines, even grocery store coupons. The most important thing is to be creative and have fun.
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Grable Foundation.
Hi, my name is Mike Shaw.
Okay, so yeah, I think we were going to stop here after the first 2 videos just for a couple discussion points. One of the things that I loved about those 2 videos were the simplicity of it, right? Because we all have socks at home. Chances are we have 2 brooms at home. we have empty water bottles. And so these are just such simple things that we can do that are keeping kids active. So they are getting exercise or getting away from the screen for a little bit, and you're still engaging with them in a very meaningful way. So I love the simplicity of it. I know my kids used to love to take, their socks and throw it into the empty laundry basket. So they were playing basketball. They also, when they were really little, loved to like drive each other around in the laundry basket, which sometimes got dangerous, right? But they loved that. And they were doing things and being active with things that were just around the house. We didn't have to go out and buy anything. So I just love the simplicity of it. But the other thing that I loved about those two videos was the ownership aspect, because both of those activities can be child driven or child led, right? And so when you empower kids to kind of make the decision of the activity, I think two things happen. One, you're giving them a great sense of pride, right? Because what kid doesn't love being in charge? And so they have this great sense of responsibility and this great sense of pride because they're choosing the activity. And number two, it takes the pressure off of you because you don't have to come up. I know, and I was probably kind of OCD about it as a parent, but I always wanted to have like a schedule, right? And I limited screen time, which is a good thing and I recommend. But I always had this like schedule of things we were going to do throughout the day. And that sometimes can be overwhelming. So in this case, put it on them and let them choose the activity. You're still a part of it. You're having fun together. You're being active together, but they're in charge. So I thought that was really important and kind of neat. The simplicity of it and giving the child ownership, empowering the kid to take the lead. I don't know. Did you want to add anything to that, Mrs. Pazukanix?
No, I think that was a great discussion and a good wrap up of exactly, I see it the same way as you do.
Good.
Hi, my name is Joe Harmon. I'm a civics teacher at Red Bank Valley High School, and this is my teachable moment. With another election year fastly approaching and all these political signs popping up everywhere, I thought I'd use my teachable moment to talk about voting and being prepared to vote. How do you want me to do this, Silas? Do you want me to just tell you, or do you want to play a game?
I'll play a game.
All right, you just exercised your first lesson in voting. All right, Silas, are you ready to simulate the voting experience? This game, Cast Your Vote, is going to allow you to do that. So here we go. Let's play. Okay, now go to icivics.org. This is going to go through the process of preparing for Election Day. Cast Your Vote is a game that allows you to play, research candidates, really understand who you're voting for instead of just randomly picking. Excellent. Do you feel more prepared to vote now?
Yes.
Great. We have a responsibility as voters to be prepared on Election Day and know exactly who we're going to vote for.
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Gradable Foundation.
Hi, I'm Charlene Fogey Barnett, and this is my Teachable Moment. My Teachable Moment is inspired by famous photographer Charles Teeny Harris. Teeny Harris photographed friends, family, and famous people in Pittsburgh for over 4 decades. Teeny even took pictures of me and my family when I was young. So, how do you capture someone's personality in a photograph? Well, your family member could hold up a belonging that means something special to them, like a photograph or a mug, anything really. And then you become the photographer. Grab a camera or your phone, take the shot, and look at what you get. I bet you come out with some great results.
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Gradable Foundation.
So these two videos, when you kind of look at them at first, don't really seem to have a lot in common, but I actually think that they do in the fact that they both are about being a member of society, like a conscientious member of society. And not only can you be a member of society, you can be a writer of history and a participant of history making decisions. Now, I have a history of loving all of these videos as they come out. And I always say like that one's my favorite until like it's always just the last one I watched. But that Charlene Fogarty Barnett one is actually my favorite. I love the idea of taking pictures. I think that it's an important lesson to share with your child. I think that it lets them be the writers and the retellers of history. And I think that's super important. and that they can be the voices of the future, so that neighborhood stories, family stories are told and retold. It's easy nowadays to let kids take pictures, right? Because of technology advances. When I was little, I mean, it was a big deal. You had to have the camera, you had to have the film, you had to get it developed. It was like days or weeks before you got them back. But now technology has made that a lot easier with kids. But I think the important piece, and the thing that Charlene tells us, is about how those pictures are framed, and how not only are they photographed, but you can also have a chance to kind of learn a little bit about the subject, the person who's being photographed. So by adding a piece of memorabilia into that photograph and having the kids sort of hear that story from that person, kind of lets them see that person in a different way. I also think the idea of knowing about their neighborhood is sort of important. And wouldn't that be kind of a cool thing, especially for older kids, to take pictures of houses and then maybe find out who used to live in that house, or how long that house has been on your street, or what kind of neighborhood history comes with those houses. When I moved in my house, there was a neighbor who had a million stories, and my kids would listen to his million stories, because that's what you do. You send your kids out there, and because you don't want to really listen to them yourselves. But my kids remember those stories. They know who lived in the house before us. They know houses by like who used to live there, which I think is kind of neat. And older kids can do timelines and kind of document that in a different way. The other thing that I noticed, I had a little personal experience, in that I've been recently going through a lot of pictures at my house, and I realized that my mom had this like favorite picture taking spot, and it would be like the family members and the friends, and they would always be like on our front porch, which, you know, like when you start looking at them, it's kind of hard to pinpoint, you know, who the people are, but it's hard to pinpoint like times in history for that, or pinpoint like when they happened. But when I was going through the pictures with my dad and asking him, you know, like, do you know when this picture was taken, or do you have an idea? He noticed that in all of the pictures, there was a corner of the car that my parents owned at the same time. And so, although he could not tell me anything about the people in the picture, he could tell me a whole bunch about that car, like where we went on vacation in that car, and how that car was the car that we had when I started high school, and how that car went to this person's wedding, or how they put the flowers on. I mean, it was funny how then he could connect it to the people, but it was the car that was the connection for him, not the people. So like having that piece to kind of draw off of, or having that memorabilia, is kind of a good touchstone. And it's not just about the people that are in the picture, it's about the things that you can add to them. Now, the Harmon video, of course, that was filmed right in the middle of our presidential election that we just had in November. So of course, elections were super important. Now, the thing is, the other thing that I think as parents we kind of have to do is remind kids that all elections are important, because people are making decisions for you, whether they're the president, or whether or not they're on your school board, or whether or not they're your mayor. And so teaching kids that all elections are pretty important is kind of a good thing as parents or as caregivers that we should be doing, and how those elections will actually impact us. Kids, of course, at a very early age, learn about voting, right? And, you know, you could vote what to have on your pizza topping, you know, or you can vote what movie to watch. It's important that they learn that process and that their voice is heard. But the other thing that elections kind of do is they kind of give us a chance to teach a few other things, like being a good winner and a good loser. Understanding that even though you want that choice, it doesn't always happen that way. We have to be able to live with that loss. And the other important thing, I think, is it does give us an understanding of how to understand that someone's opinion might not agree with ours. And being able to listen to somebody else's opinion and still respect their opinion, even if we don't always agree on it. So I read someplace about making sure that when you're talking about that, it's important to give like a concrete example, something that like kids can understand. So, you know, remember that time when you were talking with your friend and you were talking about how much you love lemonade, and they don't like lemonade because it's too bitter, but you can both still be friends, even though lemonade's not your choice. So it's kind of important to teach kids that it's okay that if we disagree with someone's opinion. And as parents and grown-ups, sometimes now's a good chance to explain to kids how you handle a disagreement with another adult, so that when your opinion doesn't fit with everybody else's opinion, how do you handle it as an adult? Because that's a good chance for them to learn from us and learn what we should be doing, or learn how to make adjustments for themselves. So those two videos, I actually do think have a lot in common because of that idea of there's lots of ways to be a good citizen and a recorder of history, and also be able to make decisions that will affect your history as well. Miss Lane, what do you think?
Spot on. The one thing I was going to add, you kind of touched upon at the very end there, was just the importance of teaching respect, right? And respecting one another, even when your opinions differ. And then as grown-ups, we're modeling that behavior. That was the one thing I was going to add. So, and then just the piece, I think that was my favorite one too, was the photography one. That was like near and dear to my heart, because, you know, especially just with family, like those memories are so important. And I know that I started scrapbooks when my kids were younger, that they still will sit down and look through, my nieces and my nephews. And the one time from vacation, I actually had them do a page. So I think it's really important that the kids are involved in the process. And I think, I mean, that goes without saying, and you already talked about that, but I had them caption the photos. I had them write their favorite memory. And that's just such a neat thing for them to look back on too, and to have that. So just making them an active part of it, and just, you know, working on the scrapbooks together, or the photo albums together, or having them journal. Even before they can write, they can draw pictures of what their favorite things were. So that, I just think that's a great fun activity to do, and one that will definitely, you know, hold memories down the line and come back to. And it's just so important for that history part of it.
All right, and I think we have just one video left.
Hi, I'm Ralph Crew, professional nerd and huge fan of Up. What's up? Not much, you? I mean, what's up is outer space, of course, and you can see it from your own neighborhood by looking up on a clear night. Even in the bright lights of the city, we can see stars, planets, satellites like the International Space Station, and more. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we can see a special star called Polaris, or the North Star. Contrary to a popular myth, it is not actually the brightest star in the sky. It's important not because of its brightness, but because it's always precisely in the north. You can even use it as a compass. To find Polaris, go outside on a clear night and look for the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. Draw an imaginary line between the 2 stars of the outer edge of the bowl of the Dipper and continue on into space. The next star that this line hits is Polaris, and using just your brains and the stars, you now know which direction north is, and that's what's up.
IQ Smart Parent Teachable Moments are funded in part by the Gradable Foundation.
Hi.
I was thinking about this video today, actually, and I can only equate it with the fact that kids ask a million questions, right? All the time, a million questions. And I think with this video, like this takeaway for this video for me is that kids are going to ask a million questions. And we as parents or caregivers are not always going to know the answer. And at each one of those questions, we sort of have an opportunity to either pursue their curiosity and encourage their curiosity, or not. And I know as a parent, there have been plenty of times when I have chosen the or not avenue, because we all do. We're all busy. We all kind of like don't. But this one kind of made me kind of stop and think, well, sometimes you do want to pursue that curiosity, and you do want to encourage that curiosity. And the good thing about this video is that there are now a million ways for you to be an expert on lots of things. And that this is just another example of how the QED resources and the things that PBS puts out, they really do give you a lot of opportunities to find out a little bit about a lot of things. And it kind of lets you let the kids sort of be curious and figure it out. I will say that the other day I was on my deck and I actually did find the Little Dipper, because I had watched this, because like, and stars are not my thing. They have never been my thing. But like just watching this and looking up, it was a clear night, like I actually did find it. And so that was kind of exciting for me. But I do think as parents, we're all trying to do the best job that we can. But one of the best things that we can do is instill that curiosity in kids. And if they come up with something and they're curious about it, and you take the time to like talk to them about it or research it, I mean, eventually part of what you're doing is teaching them those same skills. You want them to be able to find the answers to their own questions. You want them to have that curiosity, and being able to even, stop and just say, well, hey, let's look that up together. That shows them that what they're asking you is important enough for you to take the time of it. So I realize we're all busy and we can't do that all the time, but just those times when they are interested enough to ask a question about something, sometimes you just got to sit back and look up at the stars and see if you can help them figure it out, I guess. Elaine, what do you think? Do you know anything about the stars? Oh, wait, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry. No, I think the only thing I would add to that is not to be embarrassed when you don't know the answer. Like I used to be like, gosh, I should know that. Robert would ask me, that's my son, would ask me all kinds of questions. But even here at the library, I'll get questions that I don't know. And when I first started my career, I was like, kind of beating myself up, like, why do I not know that? And I just think it's important just to be okay with not knowing and admitting that you don't know. And like Denise said, find the answer together. And, working at a public library, I got to put a little plug in for us. We have the answers. You can come check out books and find the answers in books. And like you said, PBS has so many wonderful resources online that you can check out together. But just dig into it together and don't be embarrassed that you don't know the answer. Tell them you don't know and discover it together.
I think that's great. And then the Space Activity Toolkit is actually a great place to start. There's lots of answers there and lots of investigation to do there. And so it's another good way to practice some of these skills with your kids, especially if that's something that they're interested in, for sure. If you have any other information, you can check out, you can send an email to the education department at WQED, and someone will be happy to get back to you on any of these videos, or if you have trouble finding the rest of the teachable moments. They're pretty easy to find though. You can just Google them and actually get all 10 that are out there. And I think that wraps up this evening's webinar. So thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something.